We got another undrafted rookie trying to make a name for himself. It's getting harder and harder day by day for me as a football guy and a very diehard NFL fan to say that I can't love what's going on in the NBA. I look at guys like Austin Reeves. We can talk about a multitude of players who went undrafted and made a name for themselves in the NBA. But I think this is one of the stories. And I want to get ahead of it before it really pops off. And I want to be the guy who said, I seen this coming. Kenny Lofton, G League Rookie of the Year, played great in college, went undrafted. And I want to talk about why he went undrafted and what was kind of his journey getting to the NBA and how can he fit? How can he stick? Because yes, he dropped 42, but how can he make this a consistent thing and really be a household name in the NBA for that Grizzlies team? So I'm going to start with college. You know, overall, in those 2 seasons at LA Tech, averaged about 15 and 10. I think he's a walking double-double. But the biggest thing that stands out to me and stands out to everybody, his size. He's an unorthodox player, and that's kind of underselling it. I think he's unorthodox as they get because you're 6'7", and he looks 280 to me. You know, we can look at different websites, we see different weights for him, different measurements, but I see a guy who's 280 pounds and he carries it. You know, usually we see these guys, I'm not saying he's some freak athlete, but he's carrying it. His footwork, the way he can move in the low post, it's very rare that we see guys doing that. And I think about it, now this is not a comparison, but as soon as I started to watch Kenny Lofton on the Grizzlies, on that G League team, a name instantly clicked in my head. And a lot of people say because he's on the Memphis Grizzlies, this is baby Zebo. We talking about Zach Randolph. And, you know, I like it. I want to push that narrative further and further because that was a star for that Grizzlies team. We talk about the grit and grind era. Kenny Lofton would have been a great player on that grit and grind basketball team. But when I saw him, I think Jahlil Okafor, and I understand Jahlil Okafor was a center, didn't really pan out great in the NBA because the game, he's a dinosaur. And I think Kenny Lofton, it's not a lot of Kenny Loftons in the NBA. That's just the nature of what we have. But looking at his game, I think he can work on his long range shot some more, getting his 3-point percentage up. But really, we don't need him for that. You know, I understand this is a game where guys want to stretch the floor, but if he's the player he is right now, I think he can come off the bench as that 6th or 7th man, and he can give a team 10 and 10. Now, I understand, I'm not saying that he's going to go in the playoffs, dropping 20, 30, 40. This is not the season for that. I think he's getting his feet wet right now, and he played another young Oklahoma City Thunder team. So I don't want to jump out here and say he's the next great NBA star. People calling Zion. Zion's different. Zion is not Charles Barkley. Zion is not Kenny Lofton. Zion is Zion. We've never seen nobody jump that high, run that fast at that size. We're talking about size, you know, maybe I can see the comparison. But these are two completely different players. And Kenny Lofton gets it all out of the low post. I mean, watching him is like watching clockwork. You never get tired because it's a move. It's a move. It's a move. And he's always going with the up and under. He always has the footwork, the step through, the drop step. He has all of those moves. He even had a little post fade on him last night. Hitting from the mid-range, call for a screen. Okay, we clear that out. We get a little mismatch. We're going to dump it off to you in the low post. Go to work. I mean, I was really amazed, and you like to see that because in today's game, like I said, it's a dinosaur. We don't see a lot of guys who are playing through the low post, and this is why I think, you know, his ceiling as far as what he can be, we can kind of understand why he went undrafted. I don't think it's anything to do with his talent. I think looking at the NBA, you're gonna have a hard time. You're not a center. I don't think he's a center. I think he's a big forward. You know, talking about a forward because you're 6'7". And he can rebound. Like I said, he's a walking double-double, but he's not a guy who's going to hold it down in the paint. We're talking about defensively, protecting the rim, sliding his feet. So I think he can work on that. But what I do want to say, because he was bigger than what we see now. We look at him now, we say he's different. He's bigger than everybody on the court. He's too strong for these guys to defend. Kenny Lofton weighed more than that. So we look at him now, it's like he's still bulky, but he's a in shape bulky. This is a different Kenny Lofton than I've seen, especially at LA Tech, because he had a gut. At that point in his career, he had a gut. But I can tell that he's serious about this. Looking at him now, he's worked out. His conditioning has to be off the roof, because how do you get your body to be in shape like that from what he was? You can tell it means a lot to him. And he's really looking to imprint his brand of basketball back into the NBA. And I think for that bench team on the Memphis Grizzlies, I think he can do just that. We look at the playoffs and their matchup is still not determined because they got the play-in situation. They're the second seed. So we got to see how that pans out. But I think he can get some run. And I don't know what it is with the Memphis Grizzlies, but I think they're trying to draft a defense, an NFL defense. You got David Roddy, that's a linebacker. You got Desmond Bain, that's the running back. And then you got Kenny Lofton, that's the offensive lineman. What are they trying to do? Kenny Lofton, 3-tech, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, anything you want to call it. This is a big basketball team. Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson, that's the defensive end. I mean, it's kind of a wild comparison, but just looking at this team, they're nasty. They want to defend. They're gonna get it in the paint. I'm excited for this playoffs. And like I said, it's hard to say that the NBA is not in a great place, because I look at the NFL and they got stars. You're never gonna lack stars in professional sports, but the NBA produces them out of nowhere. They keep coming in. Austin Reeves is another guy, and it's another guy that I don't want to talk about. That's a star that kind of came out of nowhere. And if you want to see that video, that's Emmanuel Quickly. Find that out right there. But it's really a good thing. I mean, the way the NBA is going, Kenny Lofton, I just got to give him his flowers. Like I said, I don't expect him to come out here and be a DeMarcus Cousins, be a Zach Randolph. If he does, more power to him. But I just want to see a double-double off the bench, come in here and get some sweet offense, because like I said, I think the defense is kind of going to leave a lot to be desired. And if we can really get him, run the offense through him at that second unit. He comes in, he gets in the low post, he gets us about 10 to 15 points. That's all we need on the night. He's going to get the rebounds. He's going to do that. Kenny Lofton, man, let's salute. Let's salute. I really love what we're seeing right now, what we have, and I'm dropping the mic.